Welcome to Sovereign Relationship. Spanda, S-P-A-N-D-A is how that's spelled, is when sovereignty meets relationship with self and others, all sentient beings and their relationship. Spanda, recognized in sovereign body, begins first in the body, the material body, not as the anatomy, but as awareness made tangible. The body is the first place that Spanda is felt. The subtle pulse of consciousness expressing as breath, sensation, rhythm, and emotion. This pulse moves by its own freedom. This is Swatantriya Shakti, the inherent capacity of consciousness to animate itself without force or permission. When the body is met with presence rather than control, it becomes sovereign. Sensation is allowed without suppression. Emotion is felt without collapsing. And the body becomes a resonant field capable of holding intensity, passion, and stillness simultaneously. This capacity to feel without fragmenting is the foundation of all higher sovereignty. Sovereignty does work on a scale. There's a scale of 1 to 10 to where we have denser sovereignty, where there's maybe a more egoic sovereignty, higher up into more sovereign spirituality. Sovereign sexuality, in its experience, is where Spanda is made more intimate, where we begin to really weave in and connect with others. Sexual energy is Spanda concentrating itself. It is the same sacred pulse. However, it's experienced now as desire, pleasure, creativity, magnetism, attraction. It's absolutely dynamic. In sovereign sexuality, it is not performance, identity, or outcome. It is defined by containment, coherence, and choice. Rasa emerges here as the refined taste of lived experience. It's the liquidity of pleasure, the sweetness of intimacy, and the clarity of arousal held within awareness. Spanda is recognized in sexuality when desire no longer overrides will. Pleasure becomes regulating rather than dysregulating. Sexual energy fuels vitality rather than seeking discharge. This is sexuality as life force intelligence, not compulsion, which leads us to true sovereign relationship. True sovereign relationship is Spanda in resonance. Coming into a full resonance is where relationship reveals whether sovereignty is really embodied or simply theoretical. When two sovereign systems meet, relationship becomes resonance rather than entanglement. Spanda is felt between beings, not as merging, but as a harmonic attunement. Here, Swatantriya Shakti expresses as choice rather than obligation. Boundaries are devotional agreements, and intimacy comes without loss of self. Rasa becomes a shared presence, the capacity to taste life together without consuming or collapsing into the other. Sovereign relationship is not about sameness. It's about allowing the pulse of another to exist without interference. This leads us from this sovereign relationship into sovereign leadership. Sovereign leadership cannot happen without Spanda within relationship. Sovereign leadership is Spanda directed. Leadership is the direction of Spanda through will, Icha Shakti. When the body is regulated, sexuality is coherent, and relationship is sovereign, leadership arises naturally. Not as dominance and control, but as clarity and connection. Here is where Swatantriya Shakti becomes self-authorship, true autonomy. Rasa becomes influence, and a more resonant emotional energetic tone is in your presence. Spanda becomes momentum and movement aligned with truth rather than force. Sovereign leadership is the ability to hold intensity without reactivity, the ability to make decisions without self-betrayal, to be able to act without overriding another's will. This is leadership that transmits coherence rather than control. Integration is true sovereign relationship. It is a living pulse. This is the same sacred pulse that moves through all levels. That's felt as sensation in the body, experienced as vitality and sexuality, shared as resonance in relationship, directed as wisdom in leadership. There is no separation between spirituality and life. There is only recognition, a remembering, smarana. To live in Spanda is to live in sovereignty. This is the Samkya Shakti. Now, my friends, sit back, breathe, and allow my words to wash over you. Let us begin here. Allow this teaching to be an experience, not in theory, not in philosophy, but in direct experience. There is a pulse moving through you right now, a subtle rhythm, a living throb of awareness. This is Spanda, the sacred vibration of consciousness, moving by its own freedom. This movement, this self-arising intelligence is Samkya Shakti, the sovereign will of life to know itself through you. Samkya Shakti, Spanda. Pause, breathe, feel the movement and the relationship of the inhale and exhale in the space between the two. As we move now, awareness of the body. Sovereignty begins in the physical body as our experience. Not the body as something to control, fix, or transcend, but the body as a field of intelligence, pure consciousness. When you feel sensation without bracing yourself, emotion without collapsing, breath without forcing, the body becomes sovereign. Spanda is first felt here as rhythm, as sensation, as the quiet hum of being alive. This capacity to feel fully and remain present is the foundation of sovereignty. No body regulation, no sovereignty. Sovereign sexuality, the Spanda and the experience there. Sexual energy in its most resonant is Spanda. It's Spanda becoming intimate within itself. It is the same sacred pulse now concentrated as desire, pleasure, as a creative force of being. In sovereign sexuality, it is not performance or identity or validation. It is living in pure coherence. When sexuality is held in awareness, it refines into rasa, the living taste of experience. Pleasure becomes something that is actually regulating to our system. Desire becomes intelligent, and vitality is no longer leaking. Ojas becomes concentrated. Sexuality is revealed as life force that belongs to you. It is contained, luminous, sovereign. Contained, luminous, sovereign. Sovereign relationship. Relationship reveals embodiment. When sovereignty is lived in the body and honored in sexuality, relationship becomes resonance, not an entanglement. Spanda is felt between beings as attunement, not merging. This could be with a lover, a best friend, a family member. Samkya Shakti here means choice. Boundaries are devotional agreements. Intimacy exists without self-erasure. Rasa becomes shared presence, the ability to taste life together without consuming one another. Sovereign relationship is the capacity to allow another to exist fully without interference. Sovereign leadership is where leadership is Spanda directed through Icha Shakti. When the body is regulated, sexuality is coherent, and relationships are sovereign, leadership arises naturally. This is our new world, where leadership arises as clarity, not as dominance or control. Here, Swatantriya Shakti becomes autonomy, self-authorship. Rasa becomes influence, and the emotional energetic tone others will feel in your presence. You hold intensity without reactivity. You act without overriding another's will. This is leadership that transmits coherence, not control. The same sacred pulse moves everywhere, as sensation in the body, as vitality in sexuality, as resonance in relationship, and as wisdom in leadership. There is no separation between spirituality and life when this is present in our being. There is only recognition. When you live from Spanda, you live in sovereignty. Pause. Breathe. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Namaste.